Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chairman Tim Hackman. Welcome to our committee and board meetings this evening, June 24th, 2026. It is 6:32 p.m. I will make the requisite motion so that we can conduct these meetings virtually. To conduct these meetings wholly electronically, the Park Authority Board needs to make certain findings for the record to evidence our compliance with Virginia Code 2.2-3708.2. These motions address this compliance. I'm going to conduct a roll call vote, and each board member participating in these meetings, asking each board member to state his or her name and the location from which he or she is participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member's voice, and we will go alphabetically. Also, as the evening progresses, if additional board members join us for our meetings, I will ask them to verify their audibility and location. So, Dr. Abena Adu Houghton.
Joining from my residence in the Franconia district.
Thank you. Bill Bowie.
Joining from my residence in the Hunter Mill district.
Linwood Gorham.
Joining from my residence in the Mount Vernon district.
Rick Healy.
Joining from my residence in the Mason district.
Is Faisal Khan on yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Jose Peralta.
Hello, I'm joining from my residence in Sully district.
Mike Reynolds.
And I'm joining from my residence in the Providence district.
And Jonah Toomey.
Joining from my residence in the Drainsville district.
And this is Tim Hackman. I'm at my residence in the Drainsville district. Dr. Cynthia Jacobs Carter and Mike Thompson are excused this evening. At this point, I'll pass the virtual gavel to Vice Chair Bill Bowie so that I may be heard to make the requisite motions. I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board.
This is Bill Bowie. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
This is Abena Adu Houghton. I second the motion.
This is Bill Bowie. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries.
Thank you, Bill. This is Tim Hackman. Second, I move that the Park Authority Board will hold an all-virtual public meeting because circumstances warrant the holding of an all-virtual public meeting, including but not limited to the convenience of an all-virtual meeting.
This is Bill Bowie. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
This is Abena Adu Houghton. I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion is approved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This is Tim Hackman. Third, I move that the Park Authority Board has not had more than 2 all-virtual meetings or more than 50% of its meetings rounded up to the next whole number, whichever is greater, during the calendar year since the emergency order was lifted. And the Park Authority Board's last meeting was not an all-virtual public meeting.
This is Bill Bowie. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
This is Abena Adu Houghton. I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion passes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Tim Hackman once more. As a result, I further move that the Park Authority Board conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 571-429-5982 and entering access code 606-099-64#.
This is Bill Bowie. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
This is Abena Adu Houghton. I second the motion.
Bill Bowie, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Bill. And finally, I move that the meeting of the Park Authority Board to be held on this day is in conformance with this body's all virtual public meeting policy. And as such, The meeting notice indicated that the public meeting will be all virtual, and the notice stated that the method by which the Park Authority Board chose to meet will not be changed unless the Park Authority Board provided a new meeting notice in accordance with VA Code 2.2-3707. Public access to this meeting is provided by electronic communication means, as previously stated, that allows the public to hear all participating members of the Park Authority Board. Audiovisual technology, if available, is used to allow the public to see the members of the Park Authority Board during this meeting. A phone number, email address, or other live contact information is provided to the public to alert the Park Authority Board if electronic transmission of this meeting fails for the public, and if such transmission fails, the Park Authority Board will take a recess until public access is restored. A copy of the proposed agenda and all agenda packets have been made available to the public electronically at the same time such materials were provided to the members of the Park Authority Board. The public is afforded the opportunity to comment through electronic means, including written comments at meetings where public comment is customarily received and reflect any recommendations from the Park Board. I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's part of that was the end. Let me read that one again. The public is afforded the opportunity to comment through electronic means, including written comments at meetings where public comment is customarily received. And finally, there are no more than 2 members of the Park Authority Board together in one physical location.
This is Bill Bowie. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
This is Abner Adu-Houghton. I second the motion.
Seeing, is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Mr. Chairman, that motion is approved.
Thank you, Bill. So that resolves the preliminary motions, and we can now get down to business. Now that these extensive motions are complete, we can move forward with the Strategic Planning and Communications Committee meeting. And a reminder, when you're talking, please state your name. So Abena, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm Abner Adu-Houghton, and I believe you have the floor for the Strategic Planning and Communications Committee meeting.
Thank you so much. So I'm Torsha Bhattacharya. I am the Division Director for Stewardship and Planning. And with me, I have Stephanie Cornejo. Stephanie is the Long Range Planning Section Manager. Today, we are going to talk through the level of service recommendations. Previously, when we came to you regarding the needs assessment study, the first time was explaining what our community outreach results were, walking you through the process. The next time we came back to the board was to show you the comparison study that we did with other neighboring communities, as well as the national NRPA standard comparison where Fairfax County stands. And then we ended that last presentation with a few recommendations for the needs assessment for our level of service, facilities and acreage. Today, what we are going to do is go over the exact changes, edits, suggestions that we will put forward, and hopefully this will lead to a very lively and great discussion. This is the third installment, and after this, we will come back to the board with a preview, or rather a review of all of the 3 things that we have presented to you in the actual report format the next time we come back, so that you have a chance to look at it holistically and then approve the report after that. With that introduction, I will have Stephanie continue with the presentation. Stephanie?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Cornejo, and I'm the Long Range Planning Section Supervisor. I'm delighted to present on the latest 2026 Needs Assessment Level of Service recommendations. As we go to the next slide, just to echo what Torsha shared, last fall we went over the 2026 Needs Assessment Public Engagement highlights and broad recommendations, like the slide you've seen before here, our 4 steps to the future. The draft 2026 needs assessment recommendations include 4 organizing themes and are also considered as 4 implementation steps, such as updating our standards, like modernizing our acreage, facilities, and access standards, clarifying our role in the larger park system, and then also align our level of service with equity, benchmarking, and also the urban context that we provide here as an urbanizing county. The second major implementation step is diversifying our facilities, meaning to respond to demographic changes and recreation trends by expanding more flexible, multi-generational, and also urban facility types. Our third step is addressing the funding gap, so pair our level of service updates with reinvestment first capital planning, having stronger benchmarks, and of course, greater staffing and maintenance capacity and diversified funding tools. And then our fourth major organizing theme and action step is improving our urban parks framework standards. So we'll jump to the next slide. Tonight, we're going to go over the 2026 needs assessment level of service recommendations. Our level of service standards are key data-driven metrics for evaluating both existing and future recommendations, future recreation and park facility needs in Fairfax County. You're going to see the acronym LOS. If you're not familiar with it, that means level of service. And again, these are our key metrics for understanding if we're meeting the needs of residents in Fairfax County and the parks and recreation. And so I'd like to highlight 2 key points to keep in mind during this presentation. First and fundamentally, the Fairfax County level of service standards are intended to be met collectively by multiple service providers, not the Park Authority alone. So that means that meeting these standards is a countywide multi-agency approach. And that means that we're including and considering other park facilities provided by other local jurisdictions, Nova Parks, and state and federal lands. Second, many of our standards really date back to 2 needs assessments ago, meaning to 2004. So I'd like you all to keep these two thoughts in mind. So those 2 key pieces of information, our 2026 level of service recommendations are intended to modernize our standards, align it with the National Recreation and Park Association benchmark data, our peer comparisons, and also key needs for our public engagement process. So as we dive into the acreage level of service and facility level of service updates ahead, I'll just quickly summarize that our acreage level of service standard recommendations are mostly the same. While when we get to the facility level of service standards, that area has the most updates. So turning to the next slide, let's look at our acreage level of service standards. The acreage level of service standards tell us through a quantitative lens how many park acres there are for each park classification relative to a population. So looking at this chart, we can go starting from the left-hand side. You'll see 4 of our park classifications: suburban local parks, urban local parks, and then district and county-wide. And then you'll see in the second column our recommended level of service standard, and the area, the non-residential development in the orange box. This is the recommended change that we have, and I'll get to that in a moment. Just want to walk through the chart first. The third column shows generally what the use is, like what's the intended population for that. The middle column here, acres included in level of service standards, that's highlighting, again, the multi-jurisdictional lens, looking countywide, how which jurisdictions we're including in the next column. And so the second to last column on the right-hand side is evaluating where we are at that standard. Do we have a deficit, or do we have a meet or surplus? And then there are just notes on the right-hand side as a reference. And so looking at this, our recommendation is you can see here that we have a deficit in our local parks. Looking at suburban, we're still in need of 87 acres. And then our urban local parks, we have a deficit over 200 acres. And then our district and county-wide parkland, we're meeting that standard. So looking at this tells us we should be really focusing on acquiring and expanding local park acres. And I want to turn to the orange box that you see here, which is our main recommendation here is to change the way we're measuring non-residential development impacts. Currently, our standard is 1 acre per 1,000 employees. However, tracking employee counts associated with individual developments can be really difficult, and it's increasingly unreliable as workplace patterns evolve. So in contrast, using the gross floor area short in short GFA is a very helpful and very well-known process in the development process, and makes it transparent and administratively straightforward metric for calculating those park impacts, park contributions from non-residential development. I'm going to turn to the next slide. We're going to go over
before you go on to the next slide, if you're back in is the city of Falls Church not included because we provide all the parks, or what's why is that not on the list?
You know, I need to look into that, Chair Hackman. I'm not sure why it's not on the list. I think I know, for example,
I don't think we consider. Do we consider that an inholding, like Arlington? We wouldn't include Arlington either, right?
No, but we include the city of Fairfax. That was the reason I was asking.
Yeah, but I think the city of Fairfax, we can look into it. I think that there's which one is which. Like, I think we have some parks in the city of like around.
Right. That was my question. Whether we didn't have any parks or we provided all of the Falls Church. I don't know. Anyway, so thank you. Yeah, if you would look at that, that'd be great. Thanks.
And my question would be, is Reston Association included in this because it's just so overwhelmingly large, because there is no other HOA in this, and they are just an entity in Fairfax County?
I'm going to take this one, Stephanie, because I'm the one who asked her to include it. I think part of it is when we're talking about I guess we can have a conversation about it, but because they provide so much like park and rec for such a densely populated area, we thought it was probably good to include that, because we wouldn't eliminate that and not consider RA parks when we're talking about the level of service in Reston.
And because the level of service is, again, not just Park Authority, it's all of the entities that provide recreational facilities to Fairfax County residents. So Reston Association was considered to be providing that facility and is included, but we'll get back to you with more details on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we'll look at the facility level service standard recommendations at a high level. We have a couple slides on this. So our facility level service standards provide a comprehensive data-driven framework for evaluating both existing and future recreation and park facility needs in Fairfax County. At a broad level, we're recommending 12 new additions, which you're seeing on the left-hand side, and removing 7 based on the 2016 needs assessment level service recommendations. These are based on community input for our public engagement process, the results of our Cicely Valid survey in terms of high priority needs, and also our current best practices regionally and nationally. So we're going to start at the top on the ad facilities level of service standards here on the left-hand side.
I'm so sorry. Can I just ask one more clarification before we get started? So these are, can you tell us again what this list is?
Sure. We're looking at our facility level of service standards. So you're hearing a list of amenities.
I'm sorry, can you say that a little bit slower and explain what that means?
Sure. So we're looking at now, we're turning to our facility level of service standards. So what that means is it's listing specific amenities that we're going to put metrics to in terms of what we're providing within a population. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the things that you're removing are no longer going to be included in terms of how we're assessing whether or not we have adequate levels of them?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I'm sorry, you probably already said this earlier and it went over my head, but whose level of standards are these? Who established the level of standards?
Great question. So we're establishing those level of service standards, and we take into account not only what we provide, but also other public park providers as well. Does that answer your question? Linwood?
I think Linwood, the statement was made earlier that we're basing our standards on NRPA as well as comparisons with equivalent jurisdictions and other factors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
and to-
there,
and
there's
to
standards
answer-
that we've developed, and some of the resources we've used are other jurisdictions similar to ours, but they're standards that we developed. Is that correct?
Yes, and in conjunction with the National Recreation and Park Association benchmarks.
Okay, and no, there's not other matrix applied to that. It's just what other jurisdictions are doing and have.
Linwood, it also includes what the trends are in terms of, remember when we presented previously that in Fairfax County, there are certain sports that are taking off in terms of usage, certain types that are actually decreasing in usage. The demographics and diversity of Fairfax County is also changing. So taking all of that input and looking at the NRPA standards, and there are some standards for which NRPA doesn't provide a comparison. For those, we looked at neighboring jurisdictions to find out what would be a comparable level of service for us. So this is a combination of that.
So it sounds pretty complex, actually, lots of variables. Even to include things like other jurisdictions may have more than they think they need or less than they think they need, but averaging them all together, we're kind of hoping, and that's where the trends comment that you made comes in.
Correct. And
okay.
even for the average.
Yeah, just for the future, and this is curiosity, I'm not trying to go anywhere with it. I'd love to kind of see the matrix a little bit, if it can be put in a way that kind of puts it in front of you how the decisions were made.
And also I'll just, you'll see that in the next slide. This is kind of simplifying what is being added and what's being taken out. And Stephanie is going to explain exactly what we are from where to where we are moving. But also I want to say that to maintain, to ensure that there's less volatility in the numbers that we are proposing, we have used a 5-year average. So it's not based on 1 year that NRPA has published. For localities of our size, we have used a 5-year average. So the variation among the 5 years tend to go down, and that's what we have taken here.
All right, sorry to take up so much time.
I had a quick question, Stephanie, just for me to understand what you're displaying here in this slide. The color coding, is that just to show us, like, for example, on the removed facilities, we have specificity around the diamond fields, but we want to put it in a bigger bucket that just says diamond fields, and that's how I should be reading it, like the red and the blue kind of a line between the two.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, it's a great transition here. You'll see that the 4 court types in red font on the left-hand side: basketball, pickleball, tennis, and volleyball courts. Each of these courts have been separated out from our current standard of multi-use courts metric. So that's associated on the right-hand side. So yes, that color coding is exactly depicting that. Next, I'm going to let's look at Diamond Field in the blue font. So we're recommending to consolidate the youth adult baseball and youth adult softball metrics that's shown in blue font on the removed facility level of service chart on the right-hand side. We're recommending this for a variety of reasons. First, national and regional practices are moving away from having all 4 field types listed, which we'll cover in a few slides more in depth. This move is in line with the National Recreation and Park Association's benchmarking, as they stopped reporting out actually on these specific fields a few years ago, and they've consolidated diamond fields like a lot of our regional peers. Second, thinking about field types, like for example, let's look at rectangle fields, which is one of our current standards. We do not separate lacrosse, football, and soccer, which are all played on rectangular fields. So we're recommending undertaking the same for diamond fields. However, equity with girls softball is not getting pushed back with this metric recommendation change. The goal is to be more strategic with our approach and use a comparable basis for all of our level of service metrics with peers and NRPA benchmarking. Looking next at fitness zones and areas, third from the top on the left-hand side. This facility has been a mainstay and a key facility that we offer. Next, indoor competitive pools, isolates competitive pools from more leisure aquatic pools that are in high demand here in Fairfax County. Next, we've already been over pickleball, so we'll jump to the splash pads and spray grounds. It's recommended here. We're recommending it here because there's a greater demand for smaller aquatic features. That's been shown in our Sisley Valid survey. Of course, too, with swimming pools too, there's been an aquatics demand and high need. Next, looking at synthetic fields in the purple font. It's purple. You won't see purple on the right-hand side in our move facility. We wanted to just bring this out because it's a material type for both diamond and rectangular fields, but it's really treated as a separate facility because of its operational differences. You know, it operates more year-round, so we're recommending to add this metric to our facility level of service standards because they're so in demand. We've also been over tennis courts already, so we'll go straight into trails. As you all know, trails continue to be of the highest need, highest use. We currently do not have a metric for them, and it's a great opportunity to do so in this needs assessment. And then next, let's just look at the right-hand side column, which facility is recommending to remove from our current metrics, our current level of service. We've been over diamond fields and multi-use courts. So I'll jump to both indoor gyms and recreation centers. We're recommending to remove these two facilities since they're really more market driven and depend on a revenue model, whereas the other ones do not necessarily. So we're recommending the removal of those two. I think the next slide will answer some of your questions. So I'd love to go to the next one, which will show, it's a big chart. Note there are two of these.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. Are you going to talk more about what you just said about market driven versus
Yes,
unmarket driven? Because I didn't fully track that explanation. Is that going to be in this slide as well?
It will. I'm happy to go back to the last slide. Let's do that.
Yes, please.
Let's see.
Yeah, in particular, I'm curious about like how is indoor gyms? Is that captured somewhere on the left-hand side since we're reducing that or removing that, and also recreation centers?
Yeah, so indoor gyms are really part of our recreation centers, right? We don't have indoor gyms outside of our recreation centers, and our recreation centers are based on a revenue model. And even though we you know, and so that's why we're recommending removing those.
Oh wait, okay, sorry. I think that's where I'm losing you. So when you say we're removing those because we're basing our decisions as to where and when to build recreation centers or, you know, do anything else with recreation centers based on their revenue, and so therefore it doesn't need to be in a level of service analysis.
And I can jump in here, Joanna. So FCPA is the only provider of rec centers in the way that we are counting it here. So the level of service is countywide, and the responsibility for that providing that certain level of service is also spread across multiple agencies in the county, like say fields, right? So we offer fields, schools offer fields. So it's a shared responsibility. Same thing with parks or courts. But rec centers is something that's us, we, and it's again a revenue model, as Stephanie mentioned. So it's kind of a different animal compared to a county-wide responsibility for all of these other recreational needs. So we have decided that to treat that as separate from county level of service.
So basically, to take a step back, this whole review process is focused on things where we have a shared responsibility with other agencies. Okay, got it. That actually makes a lot more sense.
Correct.
So we're not like reducing necessarily our, I mean, rec center coverage without, that would be like a separate discussion if we were going to do that.
Yes, that is not what we are saying. Okay. Yes. So what we are saying is when deciding on whether to have a rec center or not, that needs a market study, a feasibility study, because of the scale of it. It's not necessarily this many people need this many rec centers, which is more likely what's happening in the other amenities that you see.
Although I think there are those who would argue that, in fact, if we are providing rec centers, we would want to try to do it on an equitable basis across the county. And so we would want to have some sort of a metric-based analysis as well as a market-driven study in terms of could an area support a rec center when we make a decision to put a new rec center in place or to go to a more ad hoc or tailored rec center approach, depending upon the local community's needs, et cetera.
And I would also, just to add onto that, that's actually why I was asking those questions. So thank you. That there are other municipalities that offer rec center like amenities. Like for instance, the Falls Church Community Center is essentially a rec center. They have like a workout space, a basketball gym, senior center, teen room. So I'm just wondering, like, I guess to add to what Tim was saying, like we should probably consider level of service when we're looking at the question of rec centers, and we should also consider, compare adding in the other the facilities offered by other municipalities.
I'm hearing all these explanations and I'm thinking maybe I'm missing a point or something like that, but I think it would be easier to understand and easier for the public to understand if all these things were still included in the level of standards listing with notations of these reasons why we should consider them more or less. I think it would keep people from saying, well, what about baseball fields? Of course we need 8 baseball fields. Well, the questions could be answered in the matrix or the lists. Sorry about the clock. In the matrix of the list, so that this stuff was all self-explanatory when you first listed, not have to answer questions about what about this or what about that.
So this, yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of a distillation of a very big, thick report that Stephanie has reviewed. And you all will see that report right after the presentation. We can share it with you. It's a draft report, but it's very, very detailed. So we will share that with you for your review, so that you can take a look at all of the explanations of what is being taken out, step by step, walking everybody through the process of this is the existing table, this is what we are taking out, this is why we are taking these things out, and how we are readjusting what is here. All of that information kind of filtered into this few slides that we are presenting today due to time and scope restrictions. But yes, we will share the detailed report with all of you.
All right, well, my point is to not take any of this stuff out, just notate the special instances like you're doing with us right now for the rationalization of taking it out, but don't take it out. Show everybody why it's being considered less than something else in the final report.
Absolutely. All of that will be included in the final report. Yes.
When the public goes and looks for this, like when some advocate for baseball fields wants to find out what's going on and they can't find it, it's going to make a bunch of questions for them. But if they see that, yes, we're considering it, but we studied this and we figured out because of that, this is why we didn't do that, then their question is easily answered.
And we're also thinking that not only a lot of people are not very, they might not read a 500-page report, right? So we'll do a smaller, just concise version, then have all of the appendices that people can refer to. But we might also actually include an FAQ section which says, why did this happen? And then it answers those questions. So right out of the bat, we are getting to people's concerns and questions right there, without having them going through the 500-page report. But that is a great suggestion. Thank you. Thank you, Linwood, for that.
If we can keep going now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to dive further in this slide, and we have a similar slide coming up because you can see it ends at playground. So there are more standards to look at that we're recommending here. But you can see in this chart, and this is one of 2 slides. You'll see on the left-hand side the recreation facility. You'll see the second column. I said slide. Sorry, I meant column. Second column shows our current level of service standard. The third column shows it's the evaluation of that. Do we have a deficit? Are we meeting that standard? Is there a surplus? And you'll see ones not applicable because those ones we don't have standards for now, like the fitness zones or intercompetitive pools, right? Then in the middle, you'll see our recommended level of service standard. And then you'll see the proposed, how that proposed standard meets in the valuation. And the right-hand side has notes, kind of to your point there, Linwood, which we'll have that explicitly, of course, in the report, showing the ones that are proposing for removal as well. But you can see here that we're currently looking at our current standards. We're at some large deficits for our facilities. With aggregating the National Recreation and Park Association benchmark data they bring out annually over a 5-year period, we aggregating the median figure for each of these amenities. We're actually just looking at us alone, not even looking at other public park providers. We are exceeding those standards. We're exceeding in many facilities here. But we're going to go to the next slide so we can look at the rest of them. The rest of the amenities. So this is from rectangle fields to volleyball courts. Again, the second and third column show our current standard with our current evaluation, whether we have a deficit or not applicable. And then the next two columns, the middle and the second from the right column, show our proposed standard and then where our evaluation is on it. Are we exceeding or meeting or have a deficit? And really, I think one of the biggest takeaways here is we want to establish a modernization of our benchmarking. Our benchmarking, again, think about those 2 points I brought up earlier. Some of these standards date back to 2004. And then also we want to make sure that we're aligning our metrics with real benchmark data that we can analyze year after year and be methodical about our metrics.
And as a quick reminder, the deficit or the wherever meets and exceeds that you see, it's only FCPA facility. It's not all of the facilities considered. So this is only a snapshot of what we are providing, for which we have complete data.
I'm sorry, and I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions. Can you please explain to me the difference between, and I think I know some subtle differences, but the difference between the third column and the fifth column, where we're saying in one situation, like tennis courts, for example, that we have a deficit of 172. Well, at first glance, I would assume that means we need 172 more tennis courts, but then I go over to the other and it looks like we have 90 extra tennis courts. So what am I missing?
Sure. So great question. So the column for example, let's look at tennis courts. The column between the multi-use court deficit, which yes, does indicate we are in need of 172 courts, multi-use courts. Again, that could be a variety of different court types. But using the metric 1 court per 12,603 population, and that population figure is an aggregate of 5 years of NRP's benchmark data, the median figure of benchmark data for.
Linwood, just quickly, the center column where there are a lot of the deficits, that's based upon the current standard. The right column where they're a mix of deficits and exceeds is based upon the proposed new recommended LOS standard.
Got it. Thank you very much.
But Stephanie, if you could finish what you were saying about the middle in between those two.
So that middle column, recommended level of service standard, that's what we're proposing here is these particular standards for these facility types. And then the right-hand column is the evaluation of that. And note the population number that's coming from the aggregate and the average of the benchmark NRPA benchmark data for peer jurisdictions with our population of.
So I'm sorry, Abner, could I chime in?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So I have two questions. One, it seems like, so what we're saying is we're changing the standards and therefore the sort of the outcome of whether we exceed or whether we have a deficit is changing. And so in my eyes, like then the previous slide is probably one of the most important slides because, the question in my mind is like, are we becoming more accurate with our standard? And therefore we have a closer accounting of whether or not we exceed standards or whether we have adequate facilities, or is our criteria becoming less accurate, in which case obviously it's going to really throw off whether or not we have enough of a given kind of facility. So you guys feel like with making these changes, you kind of you looked at where we ended up and you feel like we've landed in a good place. Like changing these standards actually makes it a more accurate assessment as to whether or not we have adequate facilities.
So Joanna, I can take a stab at that. So our standards actually are agnostic of how many fields or skate parks we have. Standards, the standards that we have or rather we are proposing are more looking at what's nationally present in similar sized population areas and what do our neighboring jurisdictions have. Based on that, we are adopting that standard. So say for rectangular fields, we had one field per about 3,000 population. We are saying a better reflection of the density that we have in Fairfax County, number of people we have in Fairfax County, comparing to the national standards, we are saying moving that to becoming one field per 20,000 people. And then we are seeing how many fields do we have? And again, this is only FCPA fields. So the deficit is going to go down and whatever the number exceeds is going to go up if we include NCS fields, school fields, and everything else. So the result that you are seeing in column 3 and column 5 is basically just a multiplication. But column 2 and column 4, column 2 is what exists. And that's the result of, column 3 is the result of that. Column 4 is what we are saying we should move to better reflect and be in accordance with national standards. And that's what the result is going to be. It could show us as deficit or super high. That is not the determining factor. The factor was updating the standard.
Yeah, it's a modernization, Jonah, I think.
Yeah, it makes total sense. But I mean, I think I just want to make sure that we're not like for instance, one thing I had in my mind as we were looking at this is basketball courts. So in the previous slide, we had a certain configuration which like it doesn't break
Laura,
out.
Could you please go back to the previous slide? Thank you.
Oh yeah, so it doesn't break out, for example, indoor versus outdoor basketball courts. But obviously that is a huge difference in level of service, right? As Jay has brought up many times, and as a parent of a basketball kid, I've experienced, like, you can't use outdoor basketball courts for a good portion of the year. So, the way that I think previously we had a standard for gyms, and many of those gyms have basketball courts. So like it kind of captures some of keeps track of the need for that within a given area. But we're getting rid of that gym or rec center thing, and now we just have basketball courts, which could mean that we have tons of outdoor basketball courts and not very many indoor basketball courts. So I understand that we're trying to match national standards, and I only bring up basketball courts. I think the same thing could be said of the diamond fields, for example, because before we were breaking it out, so we had a much clearer picture of, what types of fields and whether we were in deficits in specific kinds. But combining it all together means that we're not going to have that, that view of certain types. But I don't know as much about diamond fields, but I'll let those of you that do speak up on that. So I'm just wondering if we're losing granularity in this process.
So we are maintaining the granularity. So internally, we have this whole Excel sheet that breaks everything down by the types of softball versus baseball, adult, youth, what kind of fields, what kind of courts. When it comes to level of service, we are saying that we don't need that granularity in that county level of service. Internally, we know where we need to provide more softball fields.
Great.
That's definitely an area where
That
we
makes
want to
sense.
make sure we're putting that in. We just
Yeah.
don't think it belongs in the county comprehensive
Okay.
plan. It's more of, yes, what is the quality of the basketball fields? Whether it's, if you're talking about trails, that's why we have paved trails versus unpaved trails. So we will not wipe out the granularity, but we're just taking a step above and saying maybe this is the level at which we are looking at. But also it's not across, right? In some cases, like for courts, instead of multi-use courts, we are breaking it down further. So we are making it a little more granular than say fields, because nationally people are going more towards granularity towards that. So it's not kind of the same thing. So
That doesn't make sense. Like they're going towards more granularity on
yes,
the courts, but less on the fields.
yes. So and that's what you'll see here reflected. And the first slide that Stephanie showed is we currently we have just multi-use courts, and it's kind of just the one thing. So now we are saying that countywide, we should break it up into usage, the specific court usage, because that is taken off quite a bit. Whereas fields, it makes sense nationally to have rectangular fields, diamond fields, so the big categories. So it's in tune with the times that we are seeing nationally what people are doing. So, but internally though, we have all of these divisions. So if you want to know what exactly we have, how many synthetic fields, Kim will be your person. She will be able to give you all of the details that you need. So we are not doing away with any of that.
Helpful
Yeah,
clarification,
thank you.
Torsia. Thank you.
I'd like to follow up on Kiona's question here, because I'm looking at diamond fields, and I see under the current standard, there's a deficit under the 4 categories of approximately 260 fields, but under the new evaluation proposed standard, we exceed by 53. That's quite a big swing there. And so if I was just a member of the public looking at this list, it'd say, oh, they just wiped out the field shortage and now they have plenty of ball fields. Right. It's just my observation, I guess.
I'm sorry, Mike Reynolds had his hand up.
I had the exact same question Rick had, actually. We're dealing with a skeptical public. I hate to say it. And so there'll be those that would be fans of diamond fields, just to use it. We just need to be able to, Torsia and Stephanie, just really be able to explain this so we don't come across when this comes out that we were, playing a game to make things exceed rather than be in deficit. I'm not accusing you
Correct.
of that. I'm saying that we will be accused of that collectively if we can't explain that.
And this goes back to my
No, that's a fair
first-
question.
back to my first question. I think it was first. It might have been second. There's been so many, I'm losing track. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is just half of it. You're actually showing the results of a new level of standards. You need to show the public the difference in the level of standards and how you arrived at those distances. This is what it affects, but how you developed those level of standards is what people are going to really, really need to know.
And we have detailed charts. Again, we'll share it with you. We'll share
Okay,
it with the public.
so
We have the averages.
do
So
we have-
everything is very written down and detailed.
Okay. I mean,
It's just
we
not
planning
here
are we
because-
planning on having any public meetings about it or anything?
So not for our needs assessment, for our strategic plan and master planning, we have the public outreach. For this one, our public outreach actually happened. That was the first phase of the needs assessment, where we collected data from public and public told us what they need. And all of this kind of reflects what we heard from the survey, what we learned from the peer comparisons, and then producing this updated table. And
Well,
again, going back to what the people told us is that we need to take care of our existing facilities. We have so many of these things. why are so many of those elements in D and F conditions? Instead of having more fields, maybe just take care of the fields that we already have. So time and time again, and I think we have showed that slide multiple times, is the public is focused on maintenance, and we have heard that across people, across our focus groups. We have heard that from the supervisors' offices, that they're hearing that. And I think even the board told us that, yes, I think that focus on maintenance, taking care of first what we have, is primary. So that I think is reflected here, is it's not just about providing more, it's about taking care and also looking at the quality of things we provide. One of the case in point is, if you go to the next slide.
Okay, I think we
have
understand
so many-
though what I think we all understand what you've done at this point, but I'm trying to get into what you haven't done. And what you haven't done is even presented to us the change in the metrics that you developed the level of services for. And of course you should develop it for us. And that's the first thing I asked for when I saw this evening, but also you need to take it to the public. So when people see that something near and dear to their heart just got demoted a long way, you show them what the metrics was that got it to that place before you even show them the results, and give them the chance to say to you, oh, okay, well, that's really interesting, but did you think about this? And nobody, not even the board, has had the chance to do that yet.
So that's why we are presenting this to the board as an information.
This is not,
and
I understand what you're presenting here. Your metrics for changing the level of service is what we have not seen.
Correct.
What
So this is the
nobody's
first
seen.
time we are presenting to the board. We were revising it internally. So this is the first time we are presenting to the board.
But all these
Next
things
time
that
we
you're
come
showing
back.
right here are the same thing, okay? The deficit or the exceeds, it's just the multiplier has changed. They're really the same column, but you've changed the math with
Correct.
the level
It's
of
just
service.
what
The
we're
level of
dividing it
service
by.
calculation is more important than the result. You need to justify what these changes are, just like was said earlier.
One thing to note, I think there is a little bit of a misconception about what these are. These are recommendations, so to adopt, but also these are also recommendations for level of service. So for example, for rectangular fields, if I say instead of existing one field per 3,000 people, if I say one field per person, we will still have a deficit, but having a deficit does not necessarily get us more fields. So these are recommendations. So it's important to keep that in mind when we are saying that by changing
Okay, you keep
the denominator,
you keep
we
answering
are
the
not
same
changing
question,
the
but you're not
importance
addressing
of
my
it.
question. My question is the metrics for the level of standard change, the calculation that you're using to determine these results that they're showing us. And you keep answering questions about the level of results and what they are, but not about the metrics you use to change the level of standards. That's what the
Hey,
public's going to want to see. It's the justification for what you're doing, and it's what the board wants to see.
So may
here's
I
what we can
jump
do.
in
Hold
here?
on, hold on. Let me land this plane because we're going to be here for all night. So we can come back and show what they're trying to explain is that they're using the NRPA standards. We can come back and explain the NRPA standards. They didn't make up the level of service on their own. So what they're trying to do is be able to compare apples to apples. So we're right now with our current level of service, we're out there by ourselves. We can't compare ourselves to NRPA. We cannot compare ourselves nationally. We can't compare ourselves to Arlington. We can't compare ourselves to Montgomery County, to Prince George's. We've done sort of our own thing because we were ahead of the game before NRPA and everybody else created their standards. So now nationally, there are standards. So right now, if you're asking, how do we compare with Cleveland or how do we compare, we can't do that right now because we have different level of standards. And again, it's a tribute to us because we were doing this before a whole bunch of people were doing it. And so we had our own sort of level of standard that we created, I don't know, back when I think that, what did you say before when we were talking about like yeoman or what, like it's a long time ago, like back, it's a long time ago that we did this. So this is the first time that we're like, okay, let's be able to compare ourselves with the comps around us. So that's where that level of service using the NRPA guidelines. We can come back and explain their how they got their calculations. But the biggest thing for people to know is it's not Stephanie creating her own standards. She is following the NRPA, what is the industry standard currently.
Right. We're going
And so-
to a more accurate and standardized nationally
Correct.
model. And I do understand that.
Correct.
And that's what we need to show.
Right,
We did
and we can
this
do
from
that.
this standard and this standard and this standard.
So
and this
what we can
standard.
do is we
That's
can come
why
back
it's
and
different.
explain that, how they did their math in a simple
Exactly.
way. And I think that what Torsia was saying is that exists. So this is just Stephanie trying to condense a very large document into a presentation. And so what we can do is we can come back and maybe in a NIP or a memo, explain it better or condense it better. But all that information is in fact in the report. It's
It's just
just we pulled out what we thought would be
Just
helpful to
the person
explain.
that's interest got demoted in our level of service requirement is going to want to know why and how that
Correct.
was calculated. And you're telling me that we're using national data and we're collecting it from legitimate places, not just what we think or whatever. So it's all good, but we need to show
Correct.
that.
But
Yes,
also
but the
remember
other
where
thing,
it's.
the other thing I'd like to say,
Okay.
just to clarify, is that you're right in what both of you are saying, that telling the public what the transition is and why we did it is important, but they don't have a say on whether we're going to do it. That's our call.
Right.
And so, this is in terms of seeking public input. No, we're not seeking public input. We're going to tell them what we've decided to do and the reason we've decided to do it. So I think there's a little bit of a difference or nuance there.
Well,
also,
a little
this
bit difference
fits
to that
in-
nuance, though, is also that we are all appointed by elected officials whose job it is to represent the public. Therefore, it's our job to represent the public. So when you say we're making this decision, we should be making decisions that we believe the public supports.
Well, there's two things. So let me back up. So there's two things that are important. First, the data is the data. The decisions are the decisions, right? You can not go with the data. That's different, two different things. Stephanie with this is not telling us where there are ball fields. We can decide that we're going to build 78. You guys can decide we want to build 78 rectangular fields. That's this doesn't link into any decision. It just helps us understand and compare sort of where we are. The second thing is this is not small because it's big. Stephanie did a great job. This is one part of a large whole that's going to help with the whole needs assessment, explain everything. You cannot take just this and determine what an answer is. We got to take this. We got to take our statistically valid survey. We got to take a whole bunch of stuff and go in. Just because it says that we're in a debt where we exceed does not mean that we're not going to spend a significant amount of money on ball fields, because the issue is the ones we have are high amounts of DNF. And so that's what the strategic plan in total, when everything is done, is going to tell the full story. This is a piece of the story, but not, that's why we're coming at it in piecemeal, so that at the end, we're going to tell a full story as to what our needs as Fairfax County are and where we want to put sort of resources.
But this piece of the story has to be complete and defendable, just like all the other pieces of the story.
Correct.
So we need to get this
Right.
piece of the story right too.
Okay. So if I may get in now, I wonder if maybe it is helpful to have a conversation once we have seen the full picture, because I feel like this is where the issue is, right? That because you were trying to give us pieces of it, we were not seeing all the other pieces and those other concerns being raised. So if we see the full report, then we can come and say, this is still missing, or that is still missing, because it feels like the things that are appearing problematic are not really problematic if we were to see the whole document. So it might
That
be.
is the next presentation, is we will
Right.
have the report. We will, because it's a huge report, we will send it to you first so you can refer
Right.
to it, and we'll walk you through the whole thing where we came through. We are just here, we are distilling all of the information in 3 different parts and presenting like the most important updates to you.
Yeah,
But
and
but
I
we will
hear
we will
you.
share that whole thing, then walk over every single thing. That's the next step, to tie
Right.
it all together.
Unfortunately, sometimes if you're only seeing a little bit of it, it feels like other pieces are not in existence, but from what you're saying, they are. If I may just add to what Jay mentioned about providing the national NRPA standards, it might also be helpful because I was going to ask, if we're comparing ourselves to other localities, we might be the same in size. Are we the same in demographics, other demographics? So it would be helpful to see how we arrived at these comparisons, right? Because size, being the same size does not equate having the same needs, right? It might be same size, but they're an older population, so obviously their needs are a little different. So it would be helpful to provide a fuller picture of how we arrived at with whom we are comparing ourselves.
And so I think that what we'll do is maybe we can add some time before the next presentation to come back after we've sent some stuff. But that's spot on, Abena. That's where the statistically valid survey and the demographics come into the data. It's not just looking at who is 1.2 million people, because 1.2 million people in Arizona is not the same demographic as the 1.2 million people here. That's the whole picture. So it might be, national, and I'm just going to give nationally, it might say that, you need like 0.01 cricket fields, because that's the demographic nationally. Well, that's not our demographic in Fairfax County. We have a high South Asian population, so we might need more cricket fields. So that's what I mean about each individual piece does not a decision make. It's until we look at everything, we're looking at cricket. So now we're going to pull out this, and we're going to pull out this, and we're going to pull out this. And I think that because this is so large of a thing that Stephanie's been working on, and we're bringing each individual, because we couldn't bring the whole thing at one time because we'd be here for 4 hours, right? And so each individual thing, what we'll do is we'll kind of remind you, we'll send you stuff out, we'll answer the questions that we have. For the next time, maybe we'll add 15 or 20 minutes to sort of revisit this again with the questions after, see if you guys have the same questions after we provided a little bit more information, and then show how that now crosswalks into the next thing. So I think that that's really, an important aspect of it's when I say just data is important, but it's just data. It's just data.
All right. I mean, I think what happens is when you're working on something, the nitty gritty of it, we are coming to it and we have not been in it. And so there are many gaps for us. Jonah, 100%. You have a question, and I know the next committee may be.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to I think what we're all talking about, Abena, and this is along the lines of what you just said. It seems like I think what caused the heartburn here was that we were changing our metrics, and that causes heartburn. But it almost sounds more like we're just developing a new data set to make, in terms of our data set to see how we line up to national standards. And also from the big picture, just knowing that the planning process contains a lot of different considerations, and the national standards, which we're now going to have some nice data that can align with that we can use to measure, is just going to be one small part of other things such as the condition or the demographics, or there's going to be a lot of different things that you guys are factoring in, but this is just one small. So it's not like I think all of us came into this and we saw the slide and we're like, oh my God, this is how we're going to decide whether or not we're going to do more rectangular fields or not, right? Because we didn't we weren't thinking about it. So we just need a slide at the beginning that says hi, this is what our department does, and we're doing our strategic planning, and here's this tiny thing, and we need, but we're going to have this really cool new, since the rest of the country has caught up to us and actually now uses numbers to measure how many of these facilities are needed, we're going to have this cool new data set that we can use as part of our broader planning process. And then I think hopefully everyone is calmer.
Hey,
all right.
Just to be clear, I have no heartburn at all with the process and where we're going with this. I think it's a more accurate place we're trying to get to based on data, which I like. But all I'm trying to do is position us to be able to defend ourselves when people scream bloody murder that their favorite thing got demoted 10 places on our needs study. So again, just
totally got
so
it.
we all
we will work between now and then on trying to figure out a more digestible way of taking this and maybe an infographic or something. It's very easy to digest for everybody. And we'll
I think
try it out.
if we're not taking
Okay.
away something, because as Torsia pointed out, we're still tracking all of these in very granular detail. So we're not taking away anything. We're just
Yes.
adding a new data point in our strategic planning, and that data point is going to be how we measure up nationally.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that make
basically the
sense?
good way of looking at this is how do we compare nationally with our peers? That's
All right.
what the standard is telling. We can easily do away with that, so the deficit and the exceeding column, because they're just a result of how many things we have. They don't have as much to do with what we are suggesting that we change to.
So
And
I think
again,
we're at
remember
that,
that
I think we're
that's
at the
only-
point where if there are additional slides to be going through at this
Yeah,
presentation,
that's
we
what
ought to
I'm
go
trying-
through them and then move on to the next committee. So
Yes.
Stephanie, if you would please continue if there are more charts, otherwise we will move on.
Yes, we just have a few more slides here. So as we go to the next slide, that is an example of Diamond Fields, looking at our oh, I'm sorry. Please, Torsia, by all means. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little
No,
bit.
this kind of tells you that the whole point of the maintenance needs, that there is one level of service standards that says that we need the existing level of service standards, rectangular fields, we need 400 more rectangular fields. And then we look at the conditions and maintenance needs of our own inventory that we have, and it is significant. In this ROC, you have already seen that we have allocated $51 million for maintenance. And even with that, we are never going to be able to catch up with all of the maintenance needs that we have. That is a drop in the bucket of the total maintenance need. So what basically the story that we're trying to kind of weave is that it's not all about new facilities or adding 400 more fields. It's about taking care of what we have. Next slide. I think we can skip over this. This was just one of the ways we have to show what kind of our background study that we did on Diamond Fields, what our peers had, and getting into the details of Arlington, Alexandria, Prince William, how they count Diamond Fields and what their level of service standards are. So it was just an example of one element broken down further. Next one. Stephanie?
And then here, we would like to highlight here that while we use the National Recreation and Park Association benchmarking for standards, they do not have a trail standard. So we instead looked at our peer counties, which you'll see listed here on the left hand side of both charts. We use the median figure from each of these to establish a benchmark for paved and unpaved trails. And we'll go to the last slide in our presentation. And so this is our tentative schedule. We'll be back next month for a full recap and also addressing items that you all shared. We'll look at the draft report. We'll be back in August for the needs assessment report approval. And then of course, next, because it has a domino effect, we'll come back with a strategic plan and park recreation and master plan. There'll be a public comment period between October and November on that. Then we'll come back in December on the strategic and master plan approval. And then following that, because again, these all fall in line, these all affect each other. We'll make sure all of our policies are congruent across policy documents. We'll be working on the comprehensive plan write-up and edits, text edits. Thank you all for your time this evening.
Thank you so much, Tasha and Stephanie.
Thank you.
I think we have worn out the discussion part of this committee. If you have any other questions, may you please forward them to Tasha, and I know they're going to work to fill in some of the gaps that were expressed. So I call this committee meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav. This is Tim Hackman. Jose, the floor is now yours for the Park Awards Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Hackman. It's 7:41 p.m. I'm Jose Peralta, the committee vice chair, and call the Park Authority Board Awards Committee meeting to order. Allison Rankin, could you please introduce the items?
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Allison Rankin. I'm the Chief Strategist for the Park Authority, and I'm here to present the Ellie Doyle Park Service Awards item. The Ellie Doyle Awards program began in 1988 and consists of the Ellie Doyle Strickland, Ormsby, Mayo Stunts, and Jedi Awards. The Park Foundation Aiken Awards are also included in this ceremony, and the outstanding volunteers will be recognized on July 16th at a summer concert on the Ellipse at the Government Center. The board chooses the winners for the Ellie Doyle Awards, along with the Strickland, Ormsby, Mayo Stunts, and Jedi Award categories. The chair puts forth the selections for the Chairman's Choice Award, and the Park Foundation chooses the Aiken awardees. Not all award categories must have a winner each year, and the outstanding volunteers are selected by the site staff at their respective site or program. The Ellie Doyle Award was established in 1988 and recognizes Ella Mae Doyle's service as a member of and chair of the Park Authority Board. This award recognizes individuals and groups with significant contribution to the county parks. There are 3 categories in this award grouping: the Ellie Doyle Award, the Youth Award, and the Special Recognition Award. The Harold Strickland Partnership and Collaboration Award was established in 2015 and recognizes the value of teamwork and cooperation needed to provide excellent parks. This award recognizes those who have demonstrated long-term accomplishments in partnerships and collaborations that support the growth of maintenance of the parks without impact to FCPA's financial resources. 1 award is given in this category each year. The Sally Ormsby Environmental Stewardship Award was established in 2007 and recognizes individuals and groups whose actions embody the spirit of environmental stewardship and provide tangible environmental benefits to the county parks, with 1 award in this category each year. The next category is the Mayo Stunts Cultural Stewardship Award, which was established in 2013 and recognizes contributions from individuals, groups, and businesses to support the preservation and stewardship of the county's cultural resources. 1 award is given in this category. The Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Award, also known as our Jedi Award, was established in 2022 and recognizes contributions made by individuals, groups, or businesses that support enhancing diversity and fostering an culture of inclusion across the parks. 1 award is given in this category each year. Oops. Our outstanding volunteer awards are individuals that are selected by the site staff to be recognized for their contributions at their respective sites or programs over the past year. We will be recognizing 21 outstanding volunteers this year on July 16th at the Government Center Summer Concert. We hope that many of you will be able to join us for that celebration. As you can see from the titles here, we have volunteers supporting our sites and programs in a vast array of roles. We are incredibly thankful for their support and are excited to have the opportunity to celebrate them this summer. The Park Foundation Aiken Awards were created to recognize visionary financial and material contributions that significantly enhance the parks. As many of you know, the Aiken family donated the land that became the first county park, and this award recognizes individuals and organizations who continue that legacy. So now we have the proposed slate of winners. In the Ellie Doyle Award category, the Eleanor C. Lawrence Park Friends Corps volunteers and Susan Voss. Ellie Doyle Special Recognition category is Lassine Doumbia Facoli and Ed Robichaud. In the Ellie Doyle Youth Award category, Ariana Blake and Juliet Phillips. The Harold Strickland Partnership and Collaboration Award is Rob Haney. Sally Ormsby Environmental Stewardship Award is Margaret Fisher. The Mayo Stunts Cultural Stewardship Award is Lauren Crum and Shelley Dooch. And the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Award is Maureen Doherty. The Park Foundation Aiken Philanthropy Awardees in the individual category is Judy Ann Bailey. In the organization category, Giant Food. In the Friends Group Volunteer Team category, Gilbert McCutcheon Park Volunteer Team. And the Builders Developers category is the Olney Family Foundation. With the approval of this slate tonight by the board, we will proceed with plans for the awards celebration in October, and we thank you for your participation in this process.
Thank you, Allison. This is Committee Vice Chair Jose Peralta again. Is there any discussion?
Jose, before we move on, I would just like to mention, this is not part of the vote, but there is also a Chairman's Choice Award this year, and that is going to be going to Chris Leonard, who is one of the deputy county executives in Fairfax County. Chris will be retiring in September, and he has been the dotted line supervisor, the dotted line, deputy county executive to whom the Park Authority reports, so to speak, for quite a number of years. And as such, he's been working very closely with us to improve the lives of Fairfax County residents as seen and being served by the Park Authority. So it's fitting that we recognize him for this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you for that information, Chairman Hackman. If there's nothing more, then I'd like to ask for a consensus to move forward with this item.
Agreed.
Okay. This adjourns the Park Authority Board Award Committee meeting. Back to you, Chairman Hackman.
Thank you very much, Jose. This is Tim Hackman. Linwood, the floor is yours for the Planning and Development Committee meeting.
This is Linwood Gorham. I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee to order, and in so turn it immediately over to Melissa Emery.
Good evening, Melissa Emery, Special Projects Branch Manager, and this is the scope approval for the Dowden Terrace Park Improvements Project. Next slide, please. So the existing park, the playground equipment was installed in 2002 and is past the end of its useful life. The concrete walkways are in poor condition. You can see the picture there on the top right. The joints are large. They don't meet current accessibility standards. The shelter pad is also not accessible. And then the bamboo overgrowth reduces the usable area in that portion of the park by about 50%. You can see the bamboo there behind the swing set in the second row of pictures on the left. The invasive removal process is currently ongoing. We're working with John Burke's group on getting that removed. So it's clearing up sight lines and making good progress there. Next slide, please. So our proposed improvements would be kind of just generally consolidating the whole area to make it a little bit more functional. A new playground with EWF servicing would be located there under the A. That's approximately where the current shelter is now. The new shelter would move to where the playground structure is, which makes it more visible. There's some concerns in that community about sight lines, and then when the police make their circuits, being able to see things. So it's in a very visible location. We would be generally improving all the ADA access to the features at the top of the park. And we would be fixing the ADA spaces to make sure that they are in fact compliant. And general invasive removal, again, of the bamboo that I referenced. We've also been working on the tree of heaven in that area. So once all of that is done, that gives us the potential for an open lawn area once the treatment is concluded. Next slide, please. And this is a rendering of what the playground is proposed to look like. It's got the integrated shade, which is trying to accommodate requests we've been getting more often from users of the playgrounds for shade. And this way, this is integrated into the structure, so we don't have to build a separate structure over the playground. Next slide, please. And we've got a budget of $1.25 million. We're anticipating completing scope and design third quarter calendar year 2026 and finishing construction second quarter of calendar year 2027. Questions?
Right, I don't see any questions. Before I adjourn the meeting, I just want to say public, I don't remember if I've said this publicly before, but there's large playground structures that Mount Vernon Hospital is going to tear down soon and would love to give them away to some useful place. Just saying. With that said, do we have consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay. With that, I'd like to adjourn the Planning and Development Committee.
This is Tim Hackman. Thank you, Linwood, and thanks for that pointer on the potential donation of or availability of used playground equipment. So Faisal, the floor is now yours for the Administration Board Management Committee.
Do you want to read? You want to read me in first?
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? So okay.
Yes.
Hang on a second. Let me get to there. So I will pass the virtual gavel to Bill Bowie so I may be heard to make the requisite motion. This is Tim Hackman. I move that newly joining members, Faisal Khan's voice may be adequately heard by every other member of the board. And Faisal, I forgot to ask you, from where are you participating?
Well, I'm traveling back from your hometown, trying to get back from Tuminium to home. So I'm still the longest meeting ever.
Thank you so much. So
yes,
that is the motion. Bill, is there a
you've heard the motion.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second? Faisal's voice may be adequately heard.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Abna Edu-Houghton, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? It's been moved and seconded it. Seeing and hearing there's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. That motion carries.
Thank you, Bill. So this is Tim Hackman. Faisal, again, the floor is now yours for the committee meeting. By the way, I should
thank you, everybody.
Faisal, before you continue, please note that the item to be discussed in this committee is an action item. I think your script may indicate it's an information item, but we will be moving ahead with this item because it's approval of the policy.
Okay, so this is an information item, not an action item.
It is an action item. We have to vote on this later, on these policies, re-adopt these policies later tonight.
Okay, all right. So I call to order the Administration and Board Management Committee meeting. This is Faisal Khan. And Allison, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening again. My name is Allison Rankin. I'm the Chief Strategist with the BARC Authority. This item is asking for board approval of Policy 111, remote participation in public meetings, and Policy 112, all virtual public meetings. These policies are required by the Virginia Freedom of Information Act in order to allow the board to participate remotely in in-person meetings and also for the board to hold all virtual public meetings such as tonight's meeting. The VFOIA law requires an annual adoption of these policies, and there were no updates to the law during this year's legislative session focused on this portion of the law. So we need to have a simple approval of the board's existing policies tonight. One note I do want to make, there was a slight change to the law in that they added language around not being able to have a final action taken by the board if the topic is not listed on the publicly posted agenda. There are a couple of exceptions here, notably if the board directs staff to provide further information, if the board decides to defer an item to a later meeting date, any decisions that come out of closed session. And lastly, if the matter is quote unquote time sensitive, the county attorney's office has advised that term is very vague in the law and would caution us on using that unless it is in a pretty clear-cut situation that the timeliness matters and a decision needs to be made at that point. So this doesn't change anything in our procedures. I just needed to make sure that you are all aware of that change, and that's going into effect July 1st. So that's it. We just need approval for the electronic meeting policies tonight.
Oh, thank you, Allison. Are there any questions? Oh, seeing and hearing none. Do we have a consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Well, with that, I think this meeting is adjourned.
Okay, this is Tim Hackman. Thank you, Faisal. we are
You're welcome.
now through with our committee meetings. Let's take a 4-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 8 o'clock with the meeting.
Yes,
All
we
right,
are.
thank you. Thank you. So this is Tim Hackman. And let's see, everybody has been read in at this point. So I now call the June 24th, 2026 Park Authority Board meeting to order. It is 8 p.m. Andy, do we have any public speakers this evening?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Andy Grable, Public Information Officer for the Park Authority. We have one public speaker this evening, Carolyn Gamble, representing Friends of Historic Huntley. If Ms. Gamble is on the line, she'll have 5 minutes for her public comment. And if you would go ahead and unmute yourself, Ms. Gamble, the floor is yours.
And Ms. Gamble, thank you so much. I appreciate your patience.
Oh, sure. You guys work hard. So I hope you can hear me okay. My name is Carolyn Gamble. I'm here representing the Friends of Historic Huntley, and thank you for this opportunity to address the board. Before I get to our testimony, I wish to express gratitude for our Franconia representative, Dr. Cynthia Jacobs Carter, who spoke at the Juneteenth celebration at Historic Huntley this past Saturday. The story of her ancestor and her husband Carl's poem about Bob were wonderful and impactful. And now to the testimony. The Friends of Historic Huntley requests a pause in the Healing Our Land Heal Reforestation Project on the Hybla Valley Washington Defense Anti-Aircraft Artillery Cultural Resource Site at Huntley Meadows Park. In April of 2023, the Park Authority Board approved this Helping Our Land Heal project without the benefit of knowing the location's cultural significance. Let me share a bit about the cultural resource site now. When you walk into Huntley Meadows Park from the South Kings Highway entrance, you walk right through the gate posts and down what used to be the center road of the anti-aircraft site. It was one of 27 anti-aircraft artillery sites surrounding the nation's capital during the Cold War. Each site had 4 90 or 120 millimeter radar-assisted guns pointed at the sky, ready to take down anticipated Russian bombers. The AAA Cultural Resource Site at Huntley Meadows is the only one in Virginia that is on public park property. Foundations, sidewalk remnants, border fencing, gates, and the raised gun circle of compacted fill are still all in evidence. The Virginia Department of Historic Resources has determined that this site is eligible for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places. Note, the VDHR recommendation of eligibility is subject to reevaluation if at any time the property is insensitively altered or partially demolished. The Helping Our Land Heal project plan is to plant trees within the gun circle. Because the Army brought in truckloads of fill to create a stable area for the heavy guns, over the years, trees have not been completely successful at populating the gun circle. The tree canopy is open there. The Helping Our Land Heal project's goal is to close the tree canopy and create a healthy forest in the gun circle. This would alter and partially demolish the gun circle cultural resources. Please pause this planting plan. Pausing would allow us more time to gather research and interest from military history groups who could advise the Park Authority on best approaches to caretaking this significant cultural resource. Thank you very much.
This is Tim Hackman. Thank you, Ms. Gamble, for your comments this evening. Moving on to our agenda items. The first item is a board resolution to honor Lonnie Edwards, the athletic manager for 20 years, athletic field manager for 20 years of service. So I would move the approval of the resolution to honor Lonnie Edwards, who has served the residents of Fairfax County and the Park Authority for 20 years.
This is Bill Bowie. I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion passes. So the resolution. Whereas Lonnie Edwards has served the Fairfax County Park Authority and Fairfax County residents with distinction as an athletic field manager and park operations staff member for 20 years, has demonstrated a strong work ethic, a willingness to learn, and a natural ability to lead, and has maintained excellent field quality, safety, and year-round readiness in overseeing one of the busiest field regions in the county. Whereas Lonnie's leadership, strengthened operational efficiency, and resource management within Area 3, and his proactive approach to addressing maintenance needs in coordination with contractors, athletic organizations, and park authority staff helped ensure that scheduling, renovations, and seasonal transitions happened smoothly and with minimal disruption. Whereas his deep technical expertise, reliability, and ability to balance immediate, daily, and long-term operational needs under challenging deadlines and weather conditions made him a steadfast steward of athletic fields who was highly valued by his colleagues, youth sports organizations, and the broader community. Whereas his dedication, integrity, and deep commitment to public service elevated the quality and reputation of Fairfax County's athletic field operations and has strengthened the Park Authority in lasting ways. Lonnie's impact will be felt for years to come, and his distinguished service is aligned with the gold standard of what it means to serve. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Fairfax County Park Authority that it expresses appreciation and thanks to Lonnie Edwards for his outstanding contributions to the Fairfax County Park Authority and residents of Fairfax County. Adopted by the Fairfax County Park Authority Board on June 24, 2026. Congratulations, Lonnie. Would you care to say a few words?
Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure working for the Park Authority. I've had a great boss. I've had a great team working for me, and it's been a blast. Location about 98% of my 20 years, and it's become family, and I'm definitely blessed.
Excellent. Well, Lonnie, we wish you, this is Tim Hackman, we wish you all the best. Great success in your next career. Okay, so we now come to another resolution. It is a resolution honoring the 21 outstanding volunteers who were mentioned by Allison during the Park Awards Committee meeting. Therefore, I move the adoption of the resolution to honor said volunteers, outstanding volunteers of 2026 for their service to the Park Authority and the residents of Fairfax County.
This is Bill Bowie. I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion passes. Whereas Fairfax County Park Authority depends on the service of generous volunteers day in and day out to enrich our parks, address our desire to satisfy and attract diverse audiences and park visitation, and to continue to meet the needs of our growing park system and community. And whereas the Fairfax County Park Authority, created by legislative action in 1950, offers volunteers unique service opportunities that allow individuals the chance to grow personally while giving back to their community, and include such options as invasive plant management and archaeological exploration, assistance at golf courses, working as a market master at our farmers markets, front desk work at rec centers, the chance to teach adapted aquatics or other inclusive programs, the pleasure of experiencing life on a farm or working as a docent at a historic site, improving a trail, or dozens of other volunteer activities. And whereas these essential, good-hearted, hardworking, and resilient volunteers provide an effective means of service provision to the many residents of Fairfax County who visit our parks each year and collectively represent a fiscally sound approach to the provision of services in support of the Park Authority mission. And whereas local volunteers are a big part of the national and state volunteer movement that attracts millions of individuals annually to the call for service and offers not just personal and community benefit, but a tangible physical impact that allows park systems across America to thrive despite limits to government support. And whereas the Fairfax County Park Authority Board recognizes that volunteers strengthen Fairfax County, that volunteering makes a positive impact on the environment, on the quality of life, and on the health and well-being of our community, and that volunteering is an essential part of living in a thriving society, adding enormous benefits and opportunities to our park system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Fairfax County Park Authority that it expresses appreciation and thanks to the who are being recognized for dedicated and outstanding contributions to the parks and citizens of Fairfax County. Adopted by the Fairfax County Park Authority Board on June 24, 2026. Many, many thanks to all the volunteers. So moving along, adoption of the minutes from the May 13, 2026 Park Authority Board meeting. I move the adoption of the said minutes.
Second the motion, Bill Bowie.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion passes.
Chairman, this is Abner Adu
Yes.
Houston. I was not present at this meeting, so I'd like to abstain.
Okay, that will be recorded. Thank you, Abena. Tim Hackman, the first three items, action items on the agenda now. Additional items are appointments of new directors to the Fairfax County Park Foundation Board. Each candidate's background is shown in your Park Board package and has been posted online as well. The Park Foundation Board recommends the appointment of all three candidates, but we will handle them individually. So may I have a motion to appoint Ellen Gray to the Board of Directors of the Fairfax County Park Foundation?
Bill Bowie, so moved.
Is there a second?
Abner Adu Houston, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
nay. The motion passes. May I have a motion to appoint Jonathan Wirtz to the Board of Directors of the Fairfax County Park Foundation?
Bill Bowie, so moved.
Is there a second?
Abner Adu Houston, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That motion passes. May I have a motion to appoint Radhika Subramanian to the Board of Directors of the Fairfax County Park Foundation?
Bill Bowie, so moved.
Is there a second?
Abner Adu Houston, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Tim Hackman again, the motion passes. As it was indicated in the Park Administration Committee meeting, we must annually approve two policies related to our virtual meetings. Accordingly, I would ask for a motion to approve or reapprove Policy 111, remote participation in public meetings, and Policy 112 for all virtual public meetings as presented to and reviewed by the Administration and Board Management Committee this evening, June 24, 2026.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Abner Adu Houston, I second the motion.
Any discussion on these motions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The motion passes. Tim Hackman again. May I have a motion to approve the nominees for the 2026 Park Awards as presented to and reviewed by the Park Authority Awards Committee meeting this evening, June 24, 2026.
Well, so Jose Peralta, so moved.
Is there a second?
Abna Edu-Houghton, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion on these nominees? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion is approved. Scope approval. May I have a motion to approve the project scope to replace the playground and shelter at Dowden Terrace Park in the Mason District as presented to and reviewed by the Planning and Development Committee this evening, June 24, 2026.
Rick Healy, so moved.
Is there a second?
Linwood Gorm, second.
Thank you. Is any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion passes. The following information items were previously presented to us or were included in your board package, meeting package, and posted online. The Fairfax County Park Foundation fiscal year 2027 meeting dates, the fiscal year 2026 third quarter budget review fund 40,400 Park General Operations Fund, the FY26 third quarter budget review fund 80,000 Park Revenue and Operating Fund, FY 2026 approved third quarter budget review items fund 40,000 General Fund, the calendar year 2027 fee schedule and fiscal year 2028 budget timeline, and the Deer Management Program. Chairman's matters. Again, I would like to thank all those who have been recognized this evening and for their time and effort on the Park Authority's behalf. The Park Authority is able to accomplish things it would not otherwise be able to do to the overall betterment of our parks and park user experiences. Again, we quite literally could not have done those things and could not do those things on an ongoing basis without you. So thank you for that. Beyond that, I have no other items to present. Jay, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'm going to apologize, but not apologize for the length today because we have a lot of stuff. And so I want to show all of it off. I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible, but I do not want to shortchange any of the great things that staff have been working on this spring and summer. As we know, summer has begun. So next slide. Bark in the Park. On May 9th, Park and Bark brought together dog lovers, families, and community members for a festive celebration of pets, parks, and the outdoors. Guests enjoyed live music. There we go. Adoptable dogs, mobile grooming services, and activities for all ages. We showcased the Walney Visitor Center, invited attendees to explore exhibits and cultural history while connecting with local businesses. So really great thing with Friends of Eleanor C. Lawrence Park. Another great event by them. Next slide. Better Buildings Awards. You know, we all love to collect awards. So on May 12th, the Fairfax County Park Authority received the 2026 Better Project Award from the U.S. Department of Energy's Better Buildings, Better Plants Initiative in recognition of energy efficiency upgrades completed at Franconia Rec Center. The annual award honors organizations that demonstrate innovative and leadership in energy management, highlighting projects that reduce energy consumption, improve operational performance, and advance sustainability goals. This is a national recognition that underscores the Park Authority's ongoing commitment to environmental stewardship and responsible investments in public facilities. Thanks to Keith Snyder in the Energy Office, and went up to get our award for us. Next slide. Sully Historic Site Spring Meeting on May 13th. Sully Historic Site welcomes stakeholders and preservation partners for behind-the-scenes look at ongoing preservation and interpretation efforts that are helping reimagine the site's future. During the gathering, Sully staff shared updates on restoration projects, research initiatives, and new interpretive approaches designed to tell a more comprehensive and inclusive story. So much of the work has been made possible through Virginia 250th Grant Administration by the Virginia Department of Historic Resources, with additional support from the Sully Foundations and Fairfax County Park Foundation and the Fairfax County Park Authority. Next slide. Moongate. On May 14th, the Fairfax County Park Authority and the Fairfax County Park Foundation were joined by Supervisor Jimenez, Park Authority Board Chairman Tim Hackman, Rick Healy, and community partners and supporters to unveil the new Moongate at Green Spring Gardens, a unique feature designed to celebrate cultural heritage, reflection, and connection to nature that was so generously donated to us by the Dewberry family. Next slide. Green Spring Gardens Spring Garden Day. So annual plant sale at Green Spring Gardens on May 26th brought together gardening enthusiasts from across the region for one of the site's most anticipated events. Visitors had the opportunity to purchase a wide variety of plants, receive expert gardening advice, and learn about sustainable landscaping practices. Supported by dedicated staff and volunteers, specifically the frogs, the sale promotes environmental stewardship, horticultural education, and community engagement while helping residents create vibrant, healthy landscapes at home. Next slide. Reston North Playground ribbon cutting. So on June the 3rd, Fairfax County Park Authority was joined by Supervisor Alcorn, Bill Bowie, to celebrate the ribbon cutting for the fantastic new playground at Reston North Park. The project really did transform an underutilized area into a vibrant community destination, featuring inclusive play opportunities and gathering space designed to serve families of all abilities. The left is kind of dark, but you can see sort of the previous, there's a video. The previous part, if you click on it, Allison, will it play? No, it's like a GIF. Okay. The playground, it was 2 levels, so we leveled it out, pour and play. Oh, there it is. It is video. And there we go. It was really great. I mean, there were like hundreds of people that are coming into that opening, and I'm sure that they're still like just crammed into that playground. It's a wildly popular project. Oh, there we go.
Is Channel 16 going to get that video?
We are always happy to share. And I just wanted to mention, Jay, before you move on to the next element or item, that was featuring our very own Pat Rosen from the development team, who was behind the work at Reston Park North. So we didn't get the VO, but that's who you heard.
Okay. National Trails Day. I think there's a video, but I think we can skip over that one and get to because I don't think we're showing sound. So I don't know that it's, go ahead and skip it. We're late. Okay. Oh, no, go back one because we did to have yes. So on June 6th, the Park Authority was joined by Congressman Walkinshaw, Supervisor Lusk, Dr. Carter, and bike advocate group MORE, which is Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts, to celebrate National Trails Day with the ribbon cutting at Brookfield Park, marking the completion of approximately 1,400 linear feet of new natural surface trail improvements. The project enhances connectivity, expands outdoor recreation opportunities, and supports the Park Authority's commitment to providing a high-quality trail network for residents. Following the ceremony, community members joined a guided bike ride to experience a new trail firsthand and celebrate the importance of trails and promoting healthy, active lifestyles. Next slide. Family Pride Picnic. The Family Pride Picnic at Green Spring Gardens on June 13th welcomed families and community members for an afternoon of connection, celebration, and outdoor fun, featuring family-friendly activities, crafts, games, and opportunities to explore the gardens. The event created a welcoming space where participants could celebrate diversity and build community. The picnic reflects the Park Authority's commitment to fostering inclusive, accessible experiences that ensure everyone feels welcome in Fairfax County parks. Next slide. MLK Junior Splash Pad opening. So the Splash Pad at MLK Junior Park is a new amenity. There used to be a baby pool there. And so the community really came out and loved the new splash pad. On June 13th, the Park Authority celebrated the opening of a new inclusive splash pad at MLK Junior Pool, replacing the former top pool. The splash pad was selected following strong community support through a public vote and features interactive sprays, the bucket dumps for visitors of all ages and abilities. Families joined the celebration to enjoy music, ice cream, water, exercise demonstrations, and water safety activities. The new splash pad reflects the Park Authority's commitment to providing welcoming, accessible recreation opportunities for everyone. Nigel and I just got back from a trip to Greater Greener, which is a City Parks Alliance conference in Austin, Texas, where I had the privilege of presenting at the Leadership Workshop for New and Aspiring Urban Park Leaders. I presented with an astounding group of folks. On the bottom left, Happy Haynes, who was previously the Denver Parks Director, Mitchell Silver, who was a previous commissioner for New York City Parks and Rec, whose CIP starts with a B in billion. Justin Cutler from Atlanta, the Atlanta commissioner, and Michael, who's the Park Pride, which is the foundation for Atlanta. The foundation there raises 20-some million dollars a year for their parks. And then Stephen Bentley, the director of Raleigh Parks and Rec. I got to talk about our new CIP strategy with our 100% defensible and transparent data-driven decision-making process. I'm very happy to note that the bag of rocks was, of course, iconic and a hit. And so we talked about the bag of rocks. I told the story of all of the stuff. So now we've got people all over the country talking about Fairfax County's bag of rocks. I also got to see some really, we got to see some really interesting stuff. I love how cities come together in urban spots and they have like things that are their own about the bats in Austin and the skyline. But also, I think staff is very happy to note that there's the largest pool in the country. It's Barton Springs, the natural pool, and it's natural and we can't recreate it. So I came back with not being able to tell people, yeah, let's build a 75-acre swimming pool with a diving board that's in a natural spring. So great trip, all in all. Next slide. Juneteenth. The Park Authority commemorated Juneteenth across the county with a series of events that brought residents together to honor freedom, resilience, and community. At Sully Historic Site, guests participated in meaningful storytelling, hands-on activities, guided tour, and educational experiences that explore the significance of emancipation in the lives of enslaved people. I attended that event at Sully along with the county executive, was also there, and Supervisor Kathy Smith attended as well. So that's really great. And it's a sidebar. We didn't put a picture in here. I got to see for the first time the new roof that was put onto the historic structures at Sully. They look fantastic. Brian Hill commented on them. Supervisor Smith commented on them. It is just a fantastic a job from our park development division. So at Frying Pan Farm Park, visitors uncovered stories of free and enslaved African Americans, learned about the fight for greater freedoms, and explored how Black communities thrived following emancipation. Celebration concluded with an evening of skating, music, and dancing at Franconia Rec Center, where friends, families, and neighbors gathered to celebrate Juneteenth in the spirit of joy and reflection. Across all events, participants honored the legacy of those who fought for freedom while recognizing the ongoing work to build a more equitable, inclusive, and just future for all. Next slide. Sully Car Show. On Father's Day, June 21st, the 51st annual Sully Antique Car Show welcomed visitors for a day celebrating automotive history and family fun. Hundreds of antique and classic vehicles were displayed across the grounds, with judging and awards recognizing outstanding restorations and unique automobiles throughout the event. Guests enjoyed live music, food vendors, restoration, and specialty vehicle exhibits, and a variety of family-friendly activities, including a dedicated children's area. Visitors also explored the rich history of Sully's historic site while taking part in one of the region's premier traditions honoring classic cars and craftsmanship.
This is Tim Hackman. Just a quick interruption.
Sure.
If you've never seen a Ford Model T pickup truck being assembled from disassembled parts, chassis, front rear axles and suspension, four wheels, gas, motor, radiator, fenders, 6 guys put those together in 15 minutes and poured water in the radiator and drove away. So it was quite the show.
Great. Next slide. The Clydesdales are here. So currently at Frying Pan Farm Park, the Budweiser Clydesdales are here for the 4th of July. Our facilities are so stellar. All in all, our staff are so great that we really get the cream of the crop who want to board here during events. So the Budweiser Clydesdales are here. I think that there's like 2 or 3 of those trucks. They're at Frying Pan Farm Park right now. They're beautiful. Those are pictures. I try to walk in the morning so I can go by and see them. They're really beautiful horses that will be on display in the nation's capital, and I believe during a parade. They'll be here for a couple weeks. So we're very proud that they chose us to stay with in general, and they're really just beautiful horses. Next slide. The drone light show at Lake Fairfax Park. So the skies above Reston will be aglow like never before at the Fairfax County Park Authority's Independence Day celebration at Lake Fairfax Park. Now this says Saturday, June 27th. Laura, do you want to correct that?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, the weather is not looking the best for Saturday night. So unfortunately, we are going to be looking at a rain date of Sunday, June 28th. So we hope that you'll come out and join us then and enjoy this first of its kind event in Fairfax County. Thanks.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, Laura. Thank you very much. Next slide. Oh, there we go. So some upcoming events. We've got the Independence Day celebration that, as Laura said, has been moved to June 28th. We will be getting the word out for that movement. Tuesday, again, it's the first ever drone show. We usually do fireworks. It's very, very exciting to be able to see. On Tuesday, June 30th, we'll have the ribbon cutting for Wakefield Park softball field. It's field number 8. July 14th, we have the National Park and Recreation Month proclamation presentation at the Government Center. It's a pretty cool thing. Everybody sort of shows up, us and NCS, and the Board of Supervisors talks about the importance of parks. If you can make it there, that's really great. It's a photo opportunity. Please come on out. Thursday, July 16th, there's an Outstanding Volunteers recognition in concert at the Government Center Ellipse. On Thursday, July 30th at 6:45, Fairfax Fair kickoff at Hunter Mill. Fairfax Fair kickoff at Hunter Mill Melodies at Frying Pan Farm. And then happenings all summer is the Summer Entertainment Series. We were there for the vote of our bond. Actually, I probably should have put a slide in there. The Board of Supervisors approved our bond language, so it could go for referendum. And at that board meeting, when they were doing their directors matters, all of the supervisors who had entertainment series starting up mentioned their concerts that were coming up as part of their board matters. So they're very excited also for the Summer Entertainment Series. Next slide. In sadder news, we just wanted to highlight, not highlight the passing, but highlight Rob Hani and really give a little bit of time to appreciate him for all of that he did for the Park Authority. We mourn the loss of him. He was a beloved community leader, youth sports advocate, and champion for generations of young athletes. He's really known throughout Northern Virginia as Mr. Baseball. He dedicated decades to coaching, mentoring, and expanding opportunities for youth sports. His leadership helped shape programs and facilities. He was really integral to getting Patriot Park North up and going, not just getting it built or helping to advocate for its the project, but also afterwards, really working with him to be able to make sure that we're successful in bringing in teams and tournaments, so that whole project itself could have liftoff. He organized, he left a lasting legacy that will continue to impact countless families and athletes for years to come. We extend our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and everybody who's been touched by him and his remarkable service to the community. The great thing about sports, I'm a sports person, and I know a lot of you guys are sports people too. You know, the legacy that Rob has on the kids that he's coached, the fact that the program that he's lifted up will really have long-lasting impact on their lives, and they will be better for it. So we really do mourn the loss of Rob Hani. I just wanted to, I didn't know if anybody else wanted, no pressure, but I just want to give a second if anybody want to say anything about Rob. Okay, next slide. I think that's it. Sorry it was long, but we have a lot of things going on. I will say this, and I know I'm preaching to the converted. Days like this, when we're going through all of the directors matters, when it's been a month or so, really does highlight just the phenomenal work that we do and the breadth of things that happen in the parks, from Clydesdales to Juneteenth to plant sales to everything. So thank you very much to staff. Summer's just begun. They're really right now in it. Camps have started. My daughter had camp this week. She's very, very excited. And so it is now and on, and everybody's on their toes, and it's just a phenomenal time to be in parks. That's it.
Tim Hackman, thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. A long list of fantastic events and activities. We're going to go around the horn alphabetically. Abena.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abena Houghton. Just wanted to say thank you. Echo Jay's thanks to staff. That is a long list of activities, and I know it's not everything that has gone on since we last met. So thank you, staff, for all your hard work. And I will.
Bill?
Rob Honey was a real go-getter. He was really tremendous in supporting so many athletic commitments in Fairfax County, and I had the privilege of serving with him on the task force, the sports tourism task force, for the last 7 years, and so he will be missed. And with that, I pass.
Thank you. Linwood?
Want to try to say some positive things about the car show Sunday at Sully, in hopefully an improvement mode. The show has been kind of shrinking a little bit each year, and it took a dramatic downslide this year. There was probably half the cars that there typically are there, and there was no flea market at all, to which I said to some people, well, how am I supposed to get my wife to come? But anyway, in the brief conversations I had with some people from the Park Authority, and from the Model T Club, that's Model A Club, I'm sorry, that's the sponsor of it, they were both blaming each other for that thing. So that is I know a lot about car shows, and that was a very, 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 very good car show that we should try to spend some effort to restore to its glory. And I'd be willing to put some personal effort into trying to facilitate that if at all possible. But it's a great show. Let's make sure it survives. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Linwood. Rick?
I'll pass at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Faisal?
Nothing from me, sir. I'll pass.
Okay, Jose?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Mike Reynolds?
I just wanted a quick shout out to Nigel, who came over and held a nice meeting with our Providence supervisor today to go through a bunch of issues, and also just a shout out to both he, Sarah, and Allison for just handling a lot of correspondence from our district of late. I know it's been a lot the last month or two. Thank you.
Excellent. Jonah?
I'll pass.
Okay, that was the last word. We are 8:37. Thank you for everybody's patience and attention tonight, and the meeting is adjourned. I wish you a wonderful 4th.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.